Hello. Numanumu22 here, and welcome back to yet another tier list. We're keeping the Zelda theme rolling, and this time we're talking about our good old buddy, the reincarnation of the demon demise, the Ganondorf, the Demon King. So I love Ganondorf as a villain, just because most of the time, Ganon is just unabashedly evil, and that's so fun. But we'll get into the times where he hits the gray zone a little bit too. So I'm very eager. I'm very excited. Once I get Photoshop back on this computer, this will look a lot better. For the most part, outside of the first photo, most of the photos are at least mostly in frame for their thing. But anyways, so we are going to be doing this in chronological order again. Now, similar to Zelda, we will not be ranking Demise, as he is technically a separate character, though Ganondorf is the reincarnation of him. There's arguments that he reincarnates in other forms as well. So I think for now we're going to focus solely on Ganondorf, who is one of the embodiments of Demise. So the very first iteration of Ganondorf that we run into after Skyward Sword, so after Demise is defeated in Skyward Sword and curses the bloodlines, from what I can tell, the very first time we actually see Ganondorf, the first time Demise reincarnates as Ganondorf, is in Ocarina of Time during the Unified Timeline, at the very end of the Unified Timeline. Now, he is who I've labeled the King. So basically, this Ganondorf is the first male born to the Gerudos in 1,000 years, which makes him a king by birthright. And he is not a good guy. He's pretty damn evil. He is the OG girly, so we do have that going for him. And what's kind of cool is his actions, along with both Zelda's and Link's in Ocarina of Time, split the timeline. So in one timeline, he does succeed. He does kill Link and succeed at conquering Hyrule, which leads to one of the three timelines. He's a force to be reckoned with, and he is one of the few ones that in some way, shape, or form he succeeds. So I'm gonna put him in God tier. He's also like the iconic Ganondorf up until now, but we'll get into that. But he is who people thought of. I mean, he's who is in Smash Bros. Like, this is the Ganondorf that everybody knows. He brings on this specific version that I'm discussing brings on the Downfall timeline. So the Downfall timeline, the first game that actually comes into play is Link to the Past, where we get who I've named the Boar. This version of Ganondorf, he's not smart. He gets himself trapped in the Dark World. He does get the Triforce, but like, I just am unimpressed with this Ganondorf. I mean, he's kind of cool. He is permanently, I believe, in boar status. He doesn't even take on the form of a Gerudo, but I'm gonna put him in meh. I don't care for him. Another one that I really don't care for, even though I love Link's Awakening, technically you could argue that Ganon is not in this game, but I have deemed this one the Shadow. It's funny because the black background, he doesn't even, only his eyes appear. But the Shadow is a pale imitation conjured by Aghanim, who is the sorcerer kind of dealing with making all the problems in Link's Awakening. And he really is a pale imitation. He is just a shadow. He's not real. I'm putting him in Things I Hate It because honestly, he is just not there. He's not something I care about. So he's gonna go there. So anyways, after the Shadow, we have another kind of lower ring Ganondorf incarnation, or Ganon incarnation. I've labeled him the Beast. He's in Oracles of Ages and Seasons. But basically, the whole purpose of him is that the witches, I can't remember their name, but they're trying to sacrifice Zelda to reincarnate him, but when they fail that, they sacrifice themselves, which does bring Ganon back. They do revive Ganon, but he is a mindless beast. He's purely consumed by rage. So it takes one of the things about Ganon that I love, that he is tactical. This one is not tactical. This one is just pure rage. I'm gonna put him, because it is kind of cool that that two reoccurring big bads or I guess medium bads, because they're never like the final villain. Well, I guess in this one they almost were. So it is kind of cool that they sacrificed themselves to create this for this version, but I don't know. He probably won't stay in Super okay. Or he might. We don't have a lot of cannons, so I mean, he might. We'll see. Next after that, we actually have the Ganon from Link Between Worlds, which is, I've labeled him the Wizard. Now, he was fused with the Wizard Yuga, which was kind of cool. He also successfully tricks Hilda, which you could argue is not super hard to do because Hilda is desperate, you know, in the low rule. In low roll is desperate. And so he tricks Hilda into trusting him so that way once he's fully like kind of up and running, he gets her portion of the Triforce that she had. So he ends up gaining 2/3 of the Triforce, which is better than most incarnations get to. I'm gonna put him in decent because he did really well, and then he fused with a wizard to get even more powerful, which is really cool. It's not often, I don't think, that you see Ganon actually not just get help from somebody else, but genuinely combine or like partner with somebody else. That was kind of cool. Next we have the Invader. This is OG, like OG in terms of release date. This was the first Ganon we've ever seen. The very first time in our history that people saw Ganon and fought against him in the original Legend of Zelda. Now, devoid of intelligence. He does not have intelligence. He is kind of dumb. He's ruthless, but that lack of intelligence, I think, really takes him out. In this Legend of Zelda, I mean, this Zelda, she is able to shatter the Triforce into 8 pieces to delay him significantly. So he's just not smart, and he's ruthless, but reduced to ashes. He is super killed. This is not, I don't believe this is a Ganon that ever comes back. I think the next Ganon is a new Ganon. So we're gonna put him, I mean, he's just so dumb. I'm gonna put him in meh. I'm gonna put him above, what was that, the boar? I think it was the boar. Yeah, I'm gonna put him above the boar. The boar might go down to Thinks I Hate It. We'll see. This one's for sure going in Thinks I Hate It. The next one we have is The Adventure of Link. I've labeled him the game over. He's literally just a game over screen. If you fail and like run out of lives or however it works in The Adventure of Link, I haven't played that since I was a child. You just get a game over screen. He is worse than the Shadow. He is literally a game over screen. So he is going in Thinks I Hate It. Garbage. F tier, fail. Hate it. It's so dumb. But I think because the reason is the Moblikins or whatever the villain, the creatures are want to use Link's blood to revive him. And so if you die like that, they succeed, I guess. I don't really know. But yeah, so that is, that's him. But that brings us to the end of the Downfall era. We are now in the Child era. This is where, hold on, let me do this real quick. If I have, okay, so the Child timeline is where Link goes back in time to thwart Ganon's plan. So this is when, at the end of Ocarina, adult Link travels back to when he was a child using the Temple of Time and prevents everything that occurs from occurring. So in this one, we actually get Twilight Princess. So this is I've labeled him the Usurper? I don't know if I said that word right, but I like the word. I just don't know how to say it. Basically, this one is pretty wild. He helps take the Twilight Realm. He manipulates Zant and assists him in taking over an entire realm, which he was trapped in, post, Ocarina, whatever. And so he completely pulls a coup on the Twilight Realm. Eventually does overtake Hyrule. He forces Zelda's hand and causes her to be taken prisoner. Eventually, he uses the kind of husk of Zelda's body after she sacrifices herself to save Midna and turns it into a puppet, which is really dark. Which definitely played into Twilight Princess's like, oh, you guys thought Wind Waker was too childish looking? Here's our edgy, Hot Topic brand Zelda, which, don't get me wrong, I love Twilight Princess. I want to give it another full shot like I did every other game, but we'll get there. But yeah, so he uses Zelda's body as like a puppet and uses her to fight Link, which is traumatizing, I'm sure. And then it ends up taking Midna, Zelda, and Link together to kill him. He takes 3 full heroes, 2 of which are Triforce holders, to take him out. So, like, honestly, he's not to be reckoned with. And because of that, he's going in God tier. I'm gonna put him above Ocarina of Time, because genuinely, just the sheer amount of manpower it takes to take him out, I think says a lot. So next we have the Ganon from Four Swords Adventures. This is one of the games I don't know a lot about, personally. I've never played any of the Four Swords games. I guess technically Minish is considered one of the Four Sword games because you do use the Four Sword, but whatevs. So we have the Expelled. This Ganon was banished by the Gerudo. I believe he was like, he entered a forbidden temple to like try to gain the people's power, and it was seen as taboo, so he was completely like banished from the Gerudo kingdom. He did end up, he transformed, I believe it was Hyrule's knights into demons, which was kind of wild. I mean, he was an interesting character. I think because this one was like fully banished by the Gerudo. I don't know a lot about his history with the Gerudo before that. Like if before he was banished, he was like a king. I don't know if that still reigned true at that point. But I'm gonna put him in decent. I didn't hate his kind of background here. I liked that. But once again, I don't know if he was man first. Like if he was a Gerudo man before this, or if he was just a pig man running around. So I don't know. I don't know what the story is there. What's it called? Next we have someone who I consider one of my all-time favorite Ganondorfs, and I'm gonna explain why. We have the Imprisoned. So this also, by the way, enters the only entry in the adult era, which the adult era is, or the adult timeline is, the world was left without a hero while Ganon was trapped in the Sacred Realms. He eventually gets out and gets into Hyrule, and so the people of Hyrule, you know, beg the goddesses to intervene, and what they do is they send the people to the mountaintops, and they flood all of Hyrule, freezing it in time with magic, using the Master Sword to seal him away. He manages to escape somehow. I don't even remember how he does, and I literally just beat Wind Waker like 2 days ago. But when Link takes the Master Sword out, it completely like revitalizes his power. Now he ends up killing the Sage of Earth and the Sage of Wind, who were praying at their respective temples to power the Master Sword. So you have to go and find their descendants, which is both Makar and Medley, who great characters that I love, absolutely adore them. And so I love this one. So not only does he successfully kill the Wind and Earth Sages, and I talked about this on Twitter the other day. I don't know if he was wrong. Obviously, killing them was not great, and kidnapping girls was not great either, because he thought they might be the reincarnation of Zelda. But in his final fight against Link and Zelda, he states he does not want to kill them. He doesn't even really want to hurt them. He just needs their Triforce. And when he does successfully get the Triforce together, which, by the way, he does momentarily successfully get the Triforce, all 3 pieces, he wishes for Hyrule to come back. And he talks about how, you know, his initial anger, because I believe this is supposed to be the Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. So he talks about how seeing, you know, the Gerudo Desert was so harsh to his people, and literally was killing his people, and he envied the winds that, you know, flew through Hyrule, and it doesn't make him right, but he had sympathy, you know. It's what drove him to do what he did. As a king, he was trying really hard to basically save his people. And so, don't get me wrong, still bad guy, especially in Ocarina of Time. But then he wishes to bring Hyrule back. The only downside is that his wish is to bring Hyrule back and rule it. He wants Hyrule to be his, which kind of shows that still negative part of him, where he wants to be that ruler, that an unearned ruler, to be honest. Well, I mean, if he brought Hyrule back, I feel like he kind of earned it. Anyways. And then, of course, at the last minute, the King of Red Lions, who was revealed to be the King of Hyrule, the last King of Hyrule before its downfall, cuts in and makes his own wish. Now, this is where I feel like things were weird. He wishes for Hyrule to be washed away forever. And I guess I understand the sentiment of getting rid of the past so that, you know, Zelda, Link, and Tetra, Link, and the whole future generation can have their own hope, forge their own path while ignoring the sins of the past, etc., etc. I get that, but he also, like, people aren't exactly thriving in these little islands. There's like 30 civilians total in all of Hyrule because they can't fit anywhere. So, like, I really feel like he could have just brought Hyrule back and, like, wished for Ganon to not be there. Like, trap him somewhere again, or kill him. I mean, Link was gonna take his ass out anyways, which also brings me to one of my favorite Ganon deaths. Link headshots the guy, like, stabs his sword through his head, which, by the way, that was a good, like, not expecting that in the one that people called the childish Zelda. Like, straight up, he stabs him in the forehead. Ganon dies and then turns to stone. It's very dramatic. And he only resorts to, like, truly trying to kill Link and Zelda when the king cuts in and washes Hyrule away. He is my favorite. He's my all-time favorite one. Character-wise, I'm just putting him there. It is, I love him. Okay, so that now brings us to the Calamity era, which I've been calling the reunified timeline because it does seem to be everything kind of reconnects here. So, this leads us to the Demon King. The Demon King is from Tears of the Kingdom, and he does come before the Calamity Ganon, which we'll get into that here briefly. But the Demon King is probably, outside of the one who actually successfully does it, I want to say he's the closest who's come to truly getting what he wants. So spoilers, by the way, for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but I don't care about that. But spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom. Andrew, once again, do it. Big spoilers. Oh, damn. Like, huge. He kills Queen Sonia. In the flashbacks where Zelda is sent back in time, we see him successfully trick and kill Queen Sonia to get her secret stone, which, by the way, I hate that name for the stones. Sacred stones would have been all right, but secret stone just sounds so childish to me. I don't know. I'm nitpicky. In like a near perfect game, I had to find something wrong, right? So he kills her, steals her secret stone. He battles and defeats the sages, like successfully defeats them to, like, has them on the brink of death, all of them. And then they do seal him away using, the King of Hyrule literally had to kill himself to seal him away, which does bring up a lot of questions if Zelda truly is, like, if it is a royal bloodline, because they do say that Zelda is directly related to Queen Sonia. Did they have a baby we didn't know about? Because, like, how did that bloodline, like, I feel like there was no explanation there, but whatevs. So he ends up in turn kind of in his own way killing King Rauru, whatever. Then when he faces the hero of the wilds at the events of Tears of the Kingdom, when his back is against the wall, he swallows a secret stone to become an immortal dragon, similar to what Zelda did to repower the Master Sword. And he's just wild. Like, he sacrifices it all because he is just truly wanting to dip this world into darkness. Oh, and then also, this man is fine as hell. Like, they made Ganon so beefy and so sexy. Like, he's almost at the top of God tier for me because he's just so goddamn fine. I'm gonna put him behind the Imprisoned, Wind Waker, because I just love the motivations from Wind Waker, but oh my god. Like, oh my god, this man is so fine, and his hotness alone puts him in God tier. Sorry. I'm really torn between switching Ocarina of Time and Twilight and then putting Twilight Princess into decent, but I think I'm going to. So here's my reasoning. And this is purely personal reasoning, obviously. I never really played through Twilight Princess. I don't have a big connection to him. He has a cool story. He has he's powerful, but I just don't have the iconicness and the nostalgia surrounding Ocarina of Time's Ganon is just too powerful. Now, lastly, we have the, what's it called? The Calamity. Now, this is Calamity Ganon. I don't think technically counts as a full reincarnation of Ganondorf because it's basically Ganondorf, who we from Tears of the Kingdom. It's his pure hatred manifested. I mean, it was just his energy, because he was still sealed under Hyrule Castle. Like, it's just his pure the Calamity was just his pure evil that seeped through and infected the lands multiple times, mind you. Now, he ends up, he nearly kills Link, like brings him to the brink of death, to where Link has to literally sleep for 100 years. Wild, by the way. I don't know what kind of alarm clock they set up, but that's crazy. It completely destroyed Hyrule. Like, Breath of the Wild is a post-apocalyptic Legend of Zelda game. Like, he completely takes out Hyrule, to where it scatters the remaining people who are trying to resettle, but not really doing so successfully. Like, you have a couple towns like Kakariko Village and Nintendo Village, but outside of that, like, the other ones are all on the brink of disaster. To the point of it still affecting people in Tears of the Kingdom kind of vibe. Then, after that, you have, Zelda does seal him away using her power, but he's still actively, like the Calamity is still actively awake. And so him and Zelda literally are just, like, throwing hands for 100 years. It's wild that he is just, I mean, this, if anything, this just reinforces Ganondorf. It reinforces the Demon King's placement, because this is just his offshoot. This is just his like magic or whatever. So I'm gonna put him in decent, because he's not truly Ganondorf. He is really just like his aura, but he's gonna go at the top of decent. This is going to bring the Expelled down to super okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. So let's recap. First, in God tier, at the very top of God tier, we have the Imprisoned, which is Ganondorf from Wind Waker. His motivation was phenomenal. It was just great. I love him. Then behind him, you have the Demon King from Tears of the Kingdom, who is just so sexy. And that, I mean, that's really the biggest draw here. But no, he was a powerful person. He had a lot of, he was tactical, he was smart, he was conniving, it worked. After him, we have the King, who is the OG incarnation of Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. Just like an icon, the OG girly, an icon and a legend, honestly, who does succeed. He succeeds in one of the offshoots of the timeline. In the next tier, in decent or B tier, we have the Calamity, which really is just the hatred from the Demon King purely, like, manifesting into this force, this infection, which is wild. And then we have the the Usurper, who is the Ganon from Twilight Princess, which is just powerful beast to deal with, powerful person. He's very much so a just wild. He's just crazy. Also, technically, still, I believe the Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. So I did mess a little bit with my rules for this one, because I think both him and Wind Waker are the same as Ocarina of Time, just in different scenarios. But whatever. Then after him, of course, we have the Wizard, which is the Ganon from Link Between Worlds, who fused with the wizard, I want to say Yuga, which is wild. Once again, crazy. Then in Super OK or C tier, we have the Expelled from Four Swords Adventure. I don't personally know too much about him, but he had a cool backstory and I liked it. And then we have the Beast from the Oracle of Seasons and Ages, who didn't do a lot during the game, but did end up being a result of sacrificial of two of, like, bigger characters that I like. In Meh or D tier, we have the Invader, which is the original Ganon that we met in the first Legend of Zelda game. And then we have the Boar, which is the Ganon from A Link to the Past. Neither of these guys were great, boring, they didn't bring a lot to the table. They really couldn't with how old they were, if I'm being honest. And then under Thanks I Hate It, or F tier, we have the Shadow, which isn't even really Ganondorf. It is just a pale imitation conjured up by the wizard the mage Aghanim in Link's Awakening, which is one of my favorite Zelda games. If you haven't played it, I recommend playing the remake, but it's just really good. The second remake, because I think they remade it again for the Game Boy Advance or Color, one of those two. And then after that, in last place, bottom of F tier, bottom of Thanks I Hate It, we have the Game Over, which is literally just the Ganon from Adventure of Link, who is the Game Over screen. If you died, that was the screen you got. He had no actual part in the story. He doesn't even get full artwork. He gets the same amount of artwork as the Shadow, who is just a Shadow Ganon. So he belongs at the bottom of the list. But yeah, so that is kind of my full-blown, this is what it is. I love The Legend of Zelda, if you guys couldn't tell from this. I have one more list that I am planning on doing for Legend of Zelda. And I'm probably going to do it like this week or next week because I really love it and I'm on a Zelda kick. Because once Story of Seasons comes out, I think that's going to be what finally like ends that Zelda kick. Because right now I replayed Minish Cap, beat it. After I beat Tears of the Kingdom, I replayed Minish Cap, beat it. I replayed the first Hyrule Warriors, beat it. Well, I haven't unlocked all the characters because like Jesus, but I beat the story again. Then I replayed Wind Waker, beat it a couple days ago. I just started Majora's Mask, though I'm remembering how much work Majora's Mask is. So I don't know if I'm going to end up like fully replaying that, but I'm also replaying through Age of Calamity. The Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I'm working through the story on that one, and now it's really good. That alternate timeline really is phenomenal. So that does remind me, I forgot to put Ganondorf from Hyrule Warriors in here. I would probably I'd put him in top of decent, bottom of God tier. He is really powerful. I don't have a picture for him, but that's where I would place him if you asked me. But yeah, I think once Story of Seasons comes out, that's going to be what finally like kind of kicks my Zelda like streak, which I will be doing, of course, my first impressions video on that, which reminds me I need to test out the Switch and my capture card. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really love doing these tier list videos, and honestly, for my channel at least, these videos do really well. I mean, the people who are watching it seem to prefer this a lot of the time over other content, so I enjoy it. And I love it, and especially right now I'm dealing with some personal stuff, so like in my life, and work has been insane, so these kind of are lower maintenance videos that allow me to just chill out and enjoy what I'm doing, which I love. So thank you guys so much though for watching. As always, if you enjoyed today's video or any of my videos, please subscribe, like, and or comment. Also feel free to check out my TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, which are all listed in the description below. Beneath that, you will find a link invite to the Discord channel, so feel free to hop on in and join the 282. But thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye! Ganon is the OG bad bitch. Baddest. Especially Tears of the Kingdom.